Um,
The opening
okay,
is
so I
just Edward yawning.
oh oh man. I had a one edible about 20 minutes ago and I'm like
About to
because I
knock
low-key
out.
for yeah, because I low-key forgot that we record the podcast today and I had finished all my work for the day. Like all I have left to do today is stream.
That's hilarious. And you're just gonna stream like that?
Yeah, I was well, I don't have to stream till like about 7 or 8. So it was probably gonna wear off by then. So I was like, I have a couple of hours to kill. I'll
Well,
just
it's at five
get like
o'clock.
this, read, you
Mm-hmm.
know, catch up on One Piece, all 1,300 episodes or chapters.
Oh, they're on. I think 1,000. Let me see. One Piece. Because I was keeping.
1,050, I think.
No, they're only on like 1013 or something. Let me see. 1013. Yeah, that one just came out, and then
Oh,
1014.
I'm on 972. I'm almost
Okay.
1014. 1014 came out 6 days ago.
Five. Yeah, 4 or 5. Yeah, 6 days ago then. And then I think the translate because it's showing me the translation came out 4 days ago, but of course that's translation, so we do have to
Yeah.
wait for that. But that's cool. Okay. Um. Yeah, something like that. A lot of chapters
Yeah. A
basically.
lot of chapters.
That's funny.
Too many. Oh, I think technically 114 chapters for the story and then 123 chapters total.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just gonna get my edible, read this, shucking and jiving.
Dude, the only reason I've even kept up with One Piece is just because of all the time I've sunk into it. I mean, because like that was one of my favorite ones as a kid. Because I remember going to the library to read the Shonen Jump. Because that
Yeah.
like
The books.
yeah, and it had like the Yu-Gi-Oh cards and stuff like that. I mean, they never
Yeah.
obviously the you remember the fat neckbeard that worked at the right there in HP Library. He always I'm 900% sure he always took the Yu-Gi-Oh card when when I got there. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was that. Oh, dude, I just remembered one time when he fucking kicked me out of the video games. Remember how they always had video games on Tuesdays?
Yeah.
So they always had like you go in, you like play or whatever, and if you lose, yeah, it passes on to the next person, right? So
Hmm.
I'm playing there, and then I forgot what it was. I don't remember if it was like Smash Bros or something. Let me see. Um,
And the waiting line for the games were all chairs.
yeah, basically. So it was like, okay, so I go in, right, and I'm playing
Yeah.
the video game, and so it's me, him, and like two other kids, right, because it's like four players. It was like Call of Duty something, right? And then I won the round, and I was like, yeah, and then he was like, all right, get up, and I was like, what? But I won the round. He was like, no, like you're passing on the controller, but he was still sitting there, so obviously he wasn't gonna.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I won the round. Like, are not supposed to like get replaced because I remember watching people playing Smash Brothers, and it was the same thing there. With Smash Brothers, whoever won, then they had to get beaten before they gave up like the controller or whatever. Right, the other three would
Yeah.
like move on, and then nah, that's not how it goes. I'm like, that's always how it goes. You're supposed to give it up because you didn't win the round. And he was like, all right, get out. And I was like, what? And he was like, get out. And I was like, I like tossed down the controller and just walked out all mad, and I never went back. And I still remember that to
Yeah.
this day. I was like 12, dude. Like I was a kid.
That was
I
like
was
billion
forever
years
ago.
ago.
Yeah, and I never went back to the video games. I mean, I went back to the
Library.
library, obviously, but I never went back to the video games. But yeah. Oh, and then also I put my Bionicles up on display there for like a month. It was
Oh
pretty
yeah, I
funny.
remember that. I remember that.
I put them because they were like looking for like collections displays and stuff like that. And then I was like, oh, I have a Bionicle collection. Then I took like this tub of them and then placed them there. And I was like, and in my head, I was like, what if someone tries to like break in and like take them or something? In my head, I
Like
was like,
someone's gonna break into
but
the
it's like,
library and take the
exact.
Bionicles.
I know, I'm a kid. I'm like, it's so valuable in my head, and I'm like, these are like $5 figures. Like no one's, no one's gonna jump in and just steal them. Like, I have like $20 worth of toys. Yeah. But in your head as a kid, it's worth so much more to you personally, right? So
Yeah.
you're like every
Yeah.
night I'm sitting there lying awake going, oh god, what if tonight's night? What if tonight's night they finally break in and they steal my stuff? Like, what am I gonna do? And then I wake up in a cold sweat every night. But no, yeah, after the month ended, I was like, oh, okay, that was cool, and then just take it back.
Yeah, just
Honestly, but yeah, I don't know. I would not go back to middle school.
no. Speaking of going back to middle school, so I have a reunion coming up soon. Someone invited me to it. They just sent me like a Facebook message, like, "Hey, if would you like to do the a 10-year reunion for everyone in middle school?"
Mhm.
And she sent it out to everyone else, right? And one of my current best friends is someone that I used to go to with in middle school. So he was like, "Hey, did you get this message to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, I even pitched in $100." And his immediate response was just, "Oh boy, all right then, if we're gonna go." Like he was like, "Why
Yeah.
would you do that?" Because like I also pitched in money to for the place. I pitched in like $100.
Why? What? Okay, wait, so what's the what's where's the well I don't think we can. It doesn't really matter. We can say where, but it's like
It's like in Hollywood.
oh, like just some like venue place.
Yeah, it's like
oh,
some venue place.
do you know how many people have
Yeah.
already RSVP'd or?
Kind of. Because I don't think she was planning on having people pitch in, but I saw some of the prices from the thing that she sent,
Mhm.
and it was fucking expensive. So I was like, I guess I'll pitch in some. Like dude, I feel horrible if like that person paid that much money and then all of us got to
That's it.
enjoy like
I
the
was
venue.
gonna say that's it. You know,
Yeah.
no one else.
Like,
I don't know. I feel
ooh.
like a middle school reunion's kind of weird because it's like it's not as I don't want to say life changing, but like life forming or like relationship forming as like high school. Because you know how in high
Yeah.
school, most of the people that you knew from your middle school, or at least some of them, would also be in your high school, right? And then
Mhm.
those are the people that you would probably stay with because you know you're there for the like
Spend more
last
time
four
with them.
years. Exactly, you're like there for the last 4 years of your mostly formative years, and like you said, you're spending more time with them because then in middle school, like you're not gonna have like more time or more money or whatever. Like yeah, in high school you're still broke, but like you know
You got time and you can go.
exactly you're able to because like as a
You can
12
go
year
to the
old
movies, basically.
exactly because as a 12-year-old your parents aren't going to be like yeah you can get on the bus and go down to Crenshaw and like do whatever you want, you know, even though you probably did do it anyway. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but for most people, you know, it's like high school is like okay, you know, once you're like 16, 17, 18, you're able to do more, so you have more freedom and whatever, and you're just like hey, you know, I'll be back by whatever time, you know, generally
Yeah.
speaking, right? So that's I feel like that's you go on more adventures basically, right? Because you don't even like you don't even have to go and spend money. You guys would just be like going out to the park and walking around, or you know, or
Yeah.
shooting up heroin in like a McDonald's bathroom. You know,
Yeah,
that's
like just lighting up a cool fucking spoon.
exactly, exactly. You got to heat up the spoon, and then you just and you're like, Dad, I saw
don't know.
someone giving I saw some homeless guy giving himself a bunch of COVID shots under the bridge. He's so healthy.
He's got all the vaccines.
Exactly. He's vaccinated
Moderna,
himself.
Paderma.
Oh, like, oh, who was it? I heard this comedian where he was like, he was talking about how he's like, oh, what vaccines do you have? And he's like, oh, me, I got all of them. And it's like, why would you do that? Like, you only need one. And he's like, well, I just want to be sure. And it's like, oh my god, like, do you really need
It's
five
like-
microchips? Come on.
When you have good intentions, but bad executions.
Yeah, I mean, terrible executions. That's like, I don't know. I mean, he's
No, well, I
taking
mean,
up
to be fair, that could be a good execution depending on how it works.
on what point you're standing from. It's a good
Yeah.
execution. The taxpayers paid for that execution, pretty much.
Well, taxpayers pay for most execution.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
I wonder when the last
we're
time.
vicariously murdering people with every federal tax dollar.
Let me see when was the last time someone died from the death penalty. What? That's crazy.
How did we get from a middle school reunion to a federal execution?
The last person to be executed on death row was Aaron Mitchell, April 12th, 1967? What? No. What the hell is it? Who's Aaron Mitchell? Why are you giving this capital punishment? I don't know what this is, but
Oh, because the U.S. states still had local execution, so not every execution is a federal execution, and that's the difference. Like I think Ted Bundy was tried in Texas, if I remember correctly.
yeah, I remember that. I
Yeah,
saw that
Texas.
documentary.
Oh, I haven't yet. The Bundy tapes, I haven't seen it yet.
Dude, it's crazy. Like the way he talks about himself being
Mhm.
like because he's like, well, if I were to do this, I think that kind of person, or no, no, it wasn't even if I were to do this. He was talking about himself as if it was someone else, and he was like, I think the person that's doing this is scared, and I think he's got some problems, and like the way he just rambles and rambles around, like it's so well made, basically, so well
Yeah,
executed, kind of like he was, but
kind of like.
yeah,
So I,
that's
I think Ted Bundy wasn't federally executed. Like the United States didn't execute him, but Texas
Texas
did.
v. Yeah. Let
So
me
if
see.
you want to look for California, I think.
The last person put to death in California took place in 2006.
Ooh.
So that was, I don't know. I don't think. Oh, there's currently 747 inmates on death row in California, and this was back in 2021. Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh,
Back in
back.
April 17th, 2021. This just came out. 747 inmates on death row in California, and the last execution in California occurred in 2006. So,
Huh.
they still want to abolish the death penalty. Blah blah blah. But yeah, that was like the last official one, basically. Because I mean, I guess it makes sense. Because now there's like the reason people want to take it away is because what if someone was innocent, and even though everything like points
Well,
to
it's
them being.
estimated most of the people on death row are actually innocent of their crime. I think the for when new evidence pops up or something like that, I think the percentage rate for people who turn out on death row who turn out to be innocent
Mhm.
is like I don't know, it was like in the 70s or something.
Really?
It was super high.
Because I'm
Like
reading, it says that 4% of defendants sentenced to death in the United States are innocent. But let me see.
I don't know. I forgot. I think I read an article a while back, like not in high school, in like second to last year of college, where it was something to the sort of that, where it was estimated a super high percentage of people that have been put to death were actually turned out to be innocent.
Mm,
Because a lot of times it ends up being after their execution that the evidence comes out. So I mean, they were still executed by the state, and stuff. It's just that well, now they can't change anything. They can't change him from being guilty to innocent. It's just people now know he was innocent.
mm.
Like I think there's a really famous group of people that were put to death. Fucking Trump made fun of them, of course. The five, it's a group of five black people, I
Oh,
think in New
the
York or New
park,
Jersey.
the New York Five, something like that. Let me see.
The New York Five,
What are
one
they
of the most
called?
famous cases of like innocent like that. Like they were accused and then they were
The
all
Central
executed.
Park Five. That's what it was. Central
Yeah,
Park jogger case.
yeah. All
So,
five of them turned out to be innocent. All of them were put to death.
so the Central Park jogger case, for those of you who don't know, was a criminal case in New York over the aggravated assault and R word of a white woman in Manhattan Central Park in 1989. Five black and Latino youths were convicted of assaulting the woman, and sentences ranged from 6 to 12 years. All later had their charges vacated after a prison inmate confessed to the crime. So, so they didn't die, but it was still like, I mean, it was still messed up because they didn't. They just did it basically. So the videotaped confessions started on April 21st, 1990, and let's see. Oh, okay. I mean, they basically made several statements unaccompanied by any parent, guardian, or counsel. So I'm pretty sure they just coerced them and like, if you don't plead guilty, they're probably gonna give you more time. So if you plead guilty, like you'll get less time or whatever. But
Hmm.
the detective falsely told them that fingerprints had been found in the victim's clothing, and if his matched, he would be charged. Damn, that's crazy. So I mean, they just sort of lied to them basically.
Yeah.
A full page advertisement was taken out by Trump on May 1st, 1989, in the Daily News. Bring back the death penalty. Bring back our police. Huh.
Oh
Let me
yeah. So
see.
they weren't executed. Oh fuck.
No, no, no. It was. Thank goodness, but let me
Yeah.
see.
Thank goodness. I thought they had. I don't know why. Huh.
Central Park 5. I mean, yeah, they were basically. They were kids. I'm trying to see the.
Yeah. That's the issue. Like but like, let's say it is 4% because I'm currently not in the right space of mind, and also it was a fucking long time ago that I saw that, so I have no fucking clue.
But the thing is, they spent between 6 and 13 plus years in prison for the charges. Holy shit. So they each
Oh,
spent a minimum of 6. And only in 2014 were they awarded a $41 million settlement, even though the city of New York denied any wrongdoing. So it was they were police coerced confessions. They were 21, 17, 22, 15, and 18. So I mean, they were basically kids.
yeah, they're
Jesus.
literally kids.
Literally.
Most of those are younger than us.
All of them are younger than us.
Oh
The
fuck.
oldest one was 22. Ooh, I'm a year older, but
Yeah.
yeah.
By a year. Yeah.
But still, that's crazy.
You're like by a year and a month.
Jesus.
And,
And it's crazy because like they took a picture of them now.
Mhm.
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
16 years though. Oh no. Was it a total of 16 across, like between them, or
Uh,
16 each?
Minimum of 6 years, and the most was 13 years for individuals. That's why.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to
Either way,
see.
that's all. That's still a lot of time. 6 years. 6 to 13 years.
Yeah, and it's like the 5 of them. Wait. Oh, okay, okay. The 5 of them are standing with the 5 people there from like the mini series in this article that I was looking at. That's why I was like, I was like, who are these people? But it makes sense. Yeah, they're like in their 40s and stuff now. But it's like that's
Yeah.
crazy. 30
Yeah. It's
years
wild.
later. I'm trying to see. I was trying to see where the Hispanic one was, but I don't know. Marquise Rodriguez. It's funny because I feel like the Hispanic kid they chose to play him
Mhm.
doesn't look as Hispanic as like the guy in real life looks.
Oh.
Because the Hispanic guy looks like a cholo, but then the other like the other guy is Hispanic, right? Because his name's like Raymond Santana, but I think like like I want to say he looks more black than he looks as Hispanic as this guy, because the original guy looks like a cholo, and the other one looks like a, let me see, like a black teenager. You get me? Like the other ones match up,
Mhm.
but if you see here, it's like I don't get a cholo vibe from the guy on the left. You know, like he has like the glasses on, and I feel like, I mean, even if the other guy was, when he was younger, he had glasses. I'm not getting the vibe. Like the guy on the left is playing him as a kid. You get me?
Hmm.
I'm not getting the
Well, I
cholo
mean, wouldn't
vibe
it
from him.
wouldn't it be better if like we had like a picture of him when he was younger?
That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking for it also, but I. No,
Because like
he
a
looks.
lot can
I mean,
change in like 16 years or how, like
I. s-
between the time frame of that and that.
Okay, I
Like I
still.
could see like a consistent like continuity between these two. Like yeah,
Oh,
this one could probably grow up.
well, let me find it.
Uh,
He doesn't look like him. Where is it?
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't confuse
Okay,
them, but
so this is them as kids, right?
yeah.
So you see it was 4 black people and then the Hispanic guy, and then if you look like the kids, I mean honestly, it kind of just looks like 5 black guys, right? 5 black kids. You get me? Because I still don't buy this guy on the left looks like that guy in the bottom left. Because that's what he's supposed to look like, but he doesn't look anything like him.
I mean, it's just like the mustache and
No,
like the hair, where the hairline goes.
I think it's the glasses, honestly, because
The glasses too. Yeah.
the glasses kind of make him look like, oh, you know, like he's gonna walk in up to your daughter and be like, "What's up, girl?" or something, you know.
What?
I don't know. I think it's just the glasses is throwing it off. That's why.
Maybe. Because I can see the continuity between them. I think they all look pretty similar.
The consistency.
Like they could be younger versions of yeah.
Let me see. I don't know. I guess, but I don't see it. Oh, and
Wait, why are we talking about this? How did we get onto this?
so because you were saying something about like Trump was talking about bad about them, and
Yeah.
because Trump stands by the claim that the Central Park Five are guilty despite DNA evidence. That was that. But
Yeah, that was what he
yeah, and
tweeted.
he took
That's
a
what I
full
remember.
yeah, basically that. He took out a full page ad, and we were talking
What a
about how
fucking
guilty
cunt.
people or how innocent people get executed, and yeah, let me see.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. So even if like let's say like the 4% thing
It's
is
true.
is the right one,
There's still a lot of
or
people.
even if only one person would get uh like put to death as being an innocent, like 1 per 10 or whatever, I still
That's still too
wouldn't.
many.
There's still too many. Like I don't want the government to have the power to designate someone a different class of person and then be allowed to execute that class of person, because then they could just classify anyone they don't like as that class and just have executions for people they don't like it's a very slippery slope to get from oh yes, we're just keeping the peace, and people who or criminals deserve to die and all this other stuff, which honestly I honestly don't think like 90%, 99% of criminals don't really deserve to die unless they've killed someone, maybe. Then
Hmm.
I can understand it. Or R word someone, then maybe. But it's not comfortable allowing the government to separate people into different camps, sort of thing.
Hmm.
Like, oh yes, these are the good individuals, these are the bad individuals. Because if they're allowed to cross them, even if they're not, but like especially if they are allowed to like designate certain people, like switch them from the camps, uh it's very easy for them to just go, oh, you, my political rival, I don't like you, you're
Hmm.
now a prisoner,
Exactly.
now we're
Yeah.
going to execute you. It's like,
It's a very slippery slope to fascism once you get into there, basically.
yeah, yeah, having the death penalty is not it's not a power I would like the government to have.
Hmm.
Life sentences are also kind of, but better. And then after this, like we get to prison. Like, have you read the cases against prison, like the prison abolitionists?
I mean, I understand because that's so. The problem with prisons in America is the name of the episode. The problem with prisons in America. Let me let me write this down before I forget. The problem prisons in America. So the problem with prisons in America is that there's the whole industrial jail complex, because I know people talk about the
Yeah,
military industrial complex, and there's like a jail
the prison
industry
industrial
base.
complex.
There's a jail industry because you want to keep them in there as long as possible because of private prisons. If prisons were public and they were, I mean, back then prisons were supposed to be like in order to reform the person, in order to rehabilitate the person, right? That's the idea of a prison, basically, right? In an
Yeah,
ideal world, people that go to prison would be actually actively rehabilitated and then put back into normal society, right?
yeah,
Like in
yeah.
Europe, they have a lot of like I think the most famous example is Sweden, where it's
Oh,
like
I last episode or the other episode we did, I was like, yeah, dude, like
I'll
the
go to jail in
the
Sweden or something.
prison. Yeah, I'll go to
Yeah,
jail in Sweden because like their prisons look better than like most of the downtown LA apartments.
literally, yeah. ASAP Rocky was in jail in Sweden. That's funny, but yeah. So, um, I mean, they have access to internet. They have like a little TV. It's basically like a dorm room for them, but because they're focused on rehabilitating the people, and getting them out back into society. There's a
Yeah,
whole thing. It says in Sweden we treat our prisoners like human beings, not like criminals. So it's basically, yeah, you treat them like a person. You're like, hey, and try to get to the root of the problem. Of course, there's always going to be those people that you just can't deal with. Like, okay, Ted
hmm,
Bundy, complete psychopath, sociopath, every path. He took
Jeffrey
the wrong
Dahmer.
path and killed. Yeah, like
Yeah,
every serial killer, there's been something fundamentally wrong with them that you most likely would not be able to fix when you try to talk to them, try to rehabilitate them. Richard Ramirez, all the time, like 40 years later, they would still try to talk to him, and still be like, "Oh, hail Satan" and stuff like that. And, like, nothing has changed in his demeanor, even with all that time being put away. But of course, he's been put away in an American prison, which isn't made to treat them like that. Because if, let's say, instead of treating it like a prison, they treated it like a psychiatric hospital or something, where they're like, hey, let's get to the root cause of the problem and try and, like, fix this. But I still think that if it's like a serial killer, they definitely should not be out there, because it's not like, let's say, if someone kills someone in, like, a gang shooting or something, it's like, okay, maybe if you look at it like the best case scenario, maybe they made a mistake, they were pressured into it, it was like retaliation against something else. There's all these factors that you wouldn't really be able to know unless you got into the brain of the person. And most of the time they're kids when they're in, like, gangs and stuff like that. They're like 17, 18-year-olds, just victims of their like environment. You know, victims of their upbringing and where they're born, whether they're rich or poor, etc. Right? So those, you can treat those, because of course, like, let's say, like I said, the gang shooting, you can probably treat them and then say, okay, you know, we'll see, we can rehabilitate this guy, we can put him out there. There's tons of stories like that where they're like, I used to be in a gang, and now I'm out here trying to get kids out of gangs because I don't want this cycle of violence to continue. But with a serial killer, he's proved that he's willing to, time and time again, take a life. You know, he sees an attractive woman, he just strangles them because they didn't listen to him, because they didn't do something. You know, he's like, if you do that again, I'm gonna kill you. You know, so it's like, yeah, exactly. It's like holy shit, like, that kind of thinking to get from being a normal human being to that takes a lot, you know. Like, it's not just like it's not just one day to another. It builds up over a lot. Like, they even talk about, oh, okay, Ted Bundy had, like, he was, like, beat up as a kid and he doesn't even know who his real father is, all these kinds of problems and things like that. So with a serial killer, yeah, life in prison is probably worth it, because you don't want them back in society because of the off chance that they strike again. That's what they say for, like, you know, gangs and kids and stuff like that, but it's not really the same there, at least, because, you know, not. It's a young, most of the time, it's like a young kid. He just made a mistake and he was pressured into it. If he doesn't retaliate, he might get killed, etc., etc. But with the serial killer, that's for sure multiple people he's killed. He didn't learn. It's not like I had to kill them because they did my family wrong. It's just like, nah, she was there, I just fucking killed her, that was it. So I mean, yeah, life sentences do make sense for serial killers or for extremely dangerous people that can't be treated by any other, you know, method. But because the U.S. jail system, be rehabilitated. Exactly, because the U.S. jail system isn't actively, you know, trying to, like, heal people, basically. Because they're not actively trying to heal people, so that's why you're getting the same offenders, repeat offenders, longer life sentences, people of color being discriminated against, because they're like, you have to fill up the prison. It's like, oh, the prison is shutting down, you're gonna put people out of jobs. It's like, no, the goal should be to shut down the prisons and jails and stuff like that, so that you don't have people suffering. That's not
to mention that a lot of times the U.S. government can't even reduce the number of people that they're sending there. They've actually gotten sued in the past by the company, and they had to pay out like $21 million or something like that, because their prisons were consistently under capacity and violated their contract. So now they're stuck in these multi-year contracts.
Yeah. So and that's the thing too, because then you start getting into, like, contracts and things like that, where it's like, okay, but shouldn't the goal be to, like, empty out the prison, rehabilitate people, put them back out into society? And they're like, no, like, we just fill it up, give me my money, you signed a contract, didn't you read the fine print? And it's like, you're turning it into a business when it should be a public service. And then they still use tax dollars too. America. Yeah, exactly. They see a public service and they turn it into a business. Like AT&T, they took so much money for, like, most of the carriers. They took, like, billions of dollars in stuff that they were supposed to use to make broadband infrastructure better, and instead they just pocketed it, and then nothing happened.
Yeah, they never improved anything. They just went with the Nile technology that they were already developing.
Let me double check. So, published in 2005, $200 billion broadband scandal. So, oh my goodness. Okay. Listen to this. Listen to this. This is in 2005. Do you have a 45 megabit per second bidirectional service to your home? Which means 45 megabits upload, download, upload, right?
Yeah.
I have like, let me check, because yeah, my download speed is like, oh, it's 200, whatever. But the upload speeds are like dog shit. No one is getting, like, you know when they advertise fiber as being like 100 megabits per second?
Yeah.
No one's getting 100 unless it's like businesses. Consumers are not going to get 200 or 100 unless they have a specific service. Like Google Fiber is doing that, where it's 1,000 download and 1,000 upload.
Mm-hmm.
I have 10 megabits upload. I just tested it right now. 10 megabits upload service and 200 megabits download. It's like, yeah, that's cool and all, but how is it not possible to get fiber? How is it not possible to upgrade the infrastructure to the point where you're able to have everyone have it accessible, you know? So remember, this is in 2005. Do you have
okay.
Do you have 500 plus channels and can choose any competitive service? You paid an estimated $2,000 for this product, even though you did not receive it, and it may never be available. This was written 16 years ago.
What?
This is written 16 years ago. So think of this. Listen to this. Do you have 45 megabits bidirectional service to your home, paying around $40? Can you choose any competitive service with over 500 channels? Like, I'm not paying $40. There's no $40 service that I can think of in Los Angeles for 45 megabits per second. Like AT&T, you're lucky if you're paying like $50 for 25 megabits, which is dog shit.
I think I pay 85 or 95, and that's only because we have the internet coupled with the
bundled. Yeah.
Yeah, bundled with like the telephone service.
Exactly.
Yeah. And my download speed is 806. My upload speed is 401.
Is it actually?
Yeah, I just ran the test right now.
Oh, but you have like business internet, right?
I think so. I think we do.
That's what I'm talking about. Oh,
yeah.
Let's see. This is a speed test. God damn! Holy shit!
Yeah.
Okay, so you have actual fiber, but
yeah,
me as a poor consumer without a business.
Oh, okay. No, hold on. But here's the funny story. Basically, we did what you told us to do. We talked to like
you were gonna cancel her, right?
Yeah, we're like, oh, we're gonna cancel and go, and they were like, we can upgrade you for free to the fiber, to fiber, and I'm like, fiber, you say? That's my favorite diuretic.
Exactly. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So consumers.
So consumers are getting screwed basically, because I mean, same thing. We're seeing. We just saw right now what you get if you have a business, which not every American's going to be able to have, versus if you don't.
99% of Americans aren't going to have businesses.
Exactly. So it says, starting in the early 1990s, the Clinton-Gore administration had aggressive plans to create the National Infrastructure Initiative to rewire all of America with fiber optic wiring. Starting in the early 1990s. This was 30 years ago they tried to do that, to replace the 100-year-old copper wire. The Bell companies, SBC, Verizon, Bell South, and Qwest, claimed they would step up to the plate and rewire homes, schools, libraries, government agencies, businesses, etc. if they received financial incentives. The commitment was that by 2006, 86 million households should have been wired with fiber, capable of 45 in both direction, and could handle 500 plus channels. Universal broadband. This wiring was to be done in rich and poor neighborhoods, in rural, urban, and suburban areas equally, open to all competition, not a closed-in network or deployed only where the phone company desired, which is exactly what's fucking happening still. Like,
yeah,
if service goes down in like North Hollywood or in like a rich area, AT&T will be out there and fix it so fucking fast. If it goes down in like HP or in like South Central, they don't give a shit. We'll be out there later, because they're not losing as much money, because people are gonna go, oh well, the internet's out, nothing we can do. But rich people will go, hey, what the fuck? Like, my cousin's on the board of directors, we will like shut all this shit down and get a whole different company to dig up the wiring, and they'll be like, oh. Which, I mean, in a fair world wouldn't be happening, right?
Yeah.
And so it said,
capitalism, man, capitalism.
Exactly. So they all the Bell companies received changes in state laws that gave them excessive profits, tax savings, and other perks to be used in building these networks. And this was not going to be DSL, which travels on the copper wiring. It was going to be fiber. And this was not Verizon's Fios, which are slower, can't handle 500 channels, are not open to competition, and are not being deployed equitably, right? So this was not going to be fiber somewhere else in the network. It was directly to homes. So $206 billion in excess profits and tax deductions were collected. And let's see. They spent about $1 billion and were designed to make America believe these deployments were real in order to pass Telecom Act of 1996 and enter long distance. But the fiber-based services couldn't be built, and they were able to defraud over 40 states. Then the mergers killed fiber optic deployments in over 26 states and harmed competition. So with every merger, the phone companies simply dropped all state commitments and harmed every state they merged with. Verizon cut deployments to 13 states during the Bell Atlantic merger, then 28 state deployments, 13 of its states from California and Illinois. Basically, everything was like, the regulators killed competition in broadband. Over the last 4 years, this is written in 2005, over the last 4 years, instead of continuing competition as ordered by the Telecom Act, the FCC rewrote the laws to close down ISPs and brought America to the internet, as well as virtually all local competition. And then, yeah, basically, everyone kept absorbing everything so that you can't have competition anymore. Because, like, I don't even know any of these companies anymore because they've all been absorbed by either AT&T, fucking Spectrum, and like, or have renamed stuff. You know, there's like what, 3 providers now: Spectrum, AT&T, and then Frontier. And like that's it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's literally just 3 companies, and that's also why we technically have slower internet than like South Korea and like all these other places.
Yeah, and I mean even I think we're out of focus. But even then, it's like these countries, yeah, they might be smaller and stuff like that, but like I'm telling you right now, this was in 2005 that they had a plan. They knew what they were going to do and everything. Like,
yeah,
they knew what they were going to do. Customers paid for a fiber optic wire and got DSL over the old copper wiring. And they're like, in the statement, they're saying it's like ordering a Ferrari and getting a bicycle.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. So instead of being like, well, you don't have dial-up anymore, now you have DSL, it's like, that's not the point. That's not what we like paid for. You know?
Yeah, we bought something else. They bait and switched.
Mm-hmm. A 20-year analysis since 1984.
Wait, why aren't they like, oh, well, because they're companies, of course, but like, man, the government isn't going to do shit.
They are not going to do anything until they're incentivized to do so. Like AT&T charged like $1 billion. How much was it? Let me see. Which is fine. Let me see. What was it? They got charged. Perfect. AT&T overcharged Washington D.C. for 5 years. They must pay $1.5 million. Do you know how much they made, though?
How much?
I mean, most likely, $1 billion multi-year contracts. So, wow. One category of overcharges was caused by a district having upwards of 1,500 users with no activity on their accounts for months or even entire quarters. AT&T provided no reports, recommendations, or analysis to identify or implement savings related to the users and plans. So if you leave active users that you're not using, of course AT&T is not going to tell you shit. So let me see. How much did they make? They made, I mean, obviously, they're making billions of dollars, and they get charged $1.5 million. Like,
yeah. Also, just for coincidence, I just looked up what AT&T donates to political campaigns. It's in the realm of $22 million, a little bit over that.
Let me see. Political contributions. And they...
Pretty sure that goes a long ways to keeping the government unincentivized.
Pretty much. Oh my goodness, look at that. AT&T's PACs have resumed donating to the House Conservatives Fund, Republican Main Street Partnership PAC, and the Tuesday Group PAC. The House Conservative Fund is headed by, I mean, obviously it's conservatives, it's all Republicans. Because it's headed by Representative Mike Johnson and Representative John Carter, who both voted not to certify the Electoral College results. Fucking morons. They're literally... Oh my god. So, yeah, I mean, AT&T is donating to people who don't believe in science, don't believe in real life, and holy shit.
Fucking shit.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But
Yeah. So that probably keeps the government very disincentivized just a little bit.
honestly, but yeah, I
No
mean,
saying it does. They're just
'cause
supporting their preferred political candidate. Companies do have free speech. Free speech.
when the company is treated as a person, it should be taxed like a person.
Exactly.
So dumb, but
I don't get to write off my gum on my tax. Well, I do because I have a business, but
it's a business expense.
exactly.
But I mean, yeah, it's like, I don't know. If you don't incentivize them to not commit those financial crimes in the first place, like imagine if they said, okay, then, so what you're going to do is you're going to refund 100% of the revenue that you overcharged. Then you'd be talking.
Yeah.
Then you'd be talking. Because in my head, I'm like, well, it's only right for them to give back the money that they stole, basically. Because, I mean, yeah, it's not technically stealing. They're legally stealing money because they're leaving a
Yeah.
bunch, 1,500 inactive users. And they're just like, okay, we see that every month. We don't care. Like, because in my head, I'm like, well, of course they're not going to go through every account and think, is this guy not doing anything? Let's recommend disconnecting it because they want to make money
Yeah.
every fucking time they want to make money. But I'm 100% sure it's different with the business side because they're going to have like business analysts and stuff like that. And, you know,
Yeah. All the expensive shit that commoners aren't gonna get.
basically, because, yeah, they're going to have like business analysts, people looking over accounts and stuff like that. But like the whole point of them getting fined that was because they didn't have that and were just overcharging for no reason, basically. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Verizon's no better because also Verizon.
Oh no, that's like
throttled-
the Ajit Pai fucking
Oh,
cunt.
dude, that fucking.
That's Ajit Pai's.
Yeah.
That's that fucking cunt's company.
Exactly.
He worked at that company. My bad.
He was the, yeah. So he was the head of the FCC, like a fucking moron. And yeah, so there was the massive Mendocino complex fire ignited in Northern California in 2018, and Verizon throttled the firefighters' data. When they called up the guy to say, hey, what's going on? We're like firefighters. We're out here like doing something. Why is it being throttled? The guy was like, well,
Yeah.
you can try and get on a higher plan.
Bruh.
Like, honestly,
I feel like we talked about this before and how like AT&T's a fucking piece of shit, or Verizon because of that shit.
yeah, basically.
Like he's over. Like the Verizon offices are gonna get burned to the ground before fucking.
Verizon
Like-
reduced its data rates to just 1/200th of what it was usual, and did so at a critical time for the emergency response. So basically, let's say if they had like 10 megabits per second, it got cut down to like 128 kilobits per second, which is nothing.
That's
So
nothing.
it says ultimately it did lift the throttling, but it was only after the county fire subscribed to a new, more expensive plan. Can you believe that? Holy shit!
A new, more expensive plan just to fight the fire.
In the weeks that followed the email exchange, the complex fire had consumed more than 406,000 acres, or an area roughly the size of Houston. In the most critical time, Verizon acknowledged it made a mistake. A company spokesman told NPR the situation has nothing to do with net neutrality or the current proceeding in court. It's so stupid.
How does it not? It's what do you mean it doesn't?
Verizon explained that the department had chosen a plan that, while offering unlimited data, slowed speeds considerably once the customer had exceeded a certain amount before the end of the billing cycle. Regardless of the plan emergency responders choose, we have a practice to remove data speeds restrictions when contacted in emergency situations. We've done that many times, including for emergency personnel responding to these tragic fires. In this situation, we should have lifted the speed restriction when our customer reached out to us. This was a customer support mistake. The customer support person, they're trying to shift the blame onto the person that is probably in a call center, who probably has to meet goals and shit like that, who probably has to upsell for every few calls they get.
Yeah.
Like, What a fucking moron. That all
Dude, you're really gonna try to blame this on the person getting paid like 350 an hour?
and
Like,
they're basing it off of what they've done in the past, as in that rep, you know? So that
yeah,
rep was most likely instructed by one of their superiors on what to do next.
exactly. Like the rep isn't gonna take anything into their own hands. Like they want to keep
Yeah,
their job as soulless as it is.
honestly,
Like they
like
got mouths
they're
to feed and
they're
fucking
acting off of their guidelines though. That's the thing though. Like the rep is
yeah.
acting off their guidelines. Of course, if an
You worked at a call center before,
I'm
like
telling, yes, exactly. We act
like
off guidelines. Like,
yeah,
yeah, sure. If he talks to a manager and something else, it's like a specific situation. Sure, that's different. We have different departments for that. But if I'm asking them, they tell me to do something, and then the Bank of America goes, "Well, how it should have been handled was this should have happened." So blame that person. It's like fuck you. Like maybe
yeah,
have guidelines in place to handle these situations in the first place so they don't get to that point. It shouldn't get to the point where you're I know it's not that simple, but there should literally be a button to click emergency situation, data override or something, right?
yeah.
Something like that. Or
Whatever you have to do to get it done.
steps in that call, in that
Yeah.
email, anything. Not like, well, it's I know the fire's burning, but you guys should have subscribed to a higher plan. Like, come on, this is on you guys,
Yeah.
idiots. Like seriously.
Why don't you guys just have more money to spend? Then everything would be fine. Spend an extra $4 for the last gallon of oxygen, please.
Exactly, dude. If corporations are going to find a way to charge for oxygen in space, and they will,
Yeah, they
they'll be
will.
like, well, actually, oxygen
That's
is not
that's
a
the
right.
big issue. That's kind of the big issue, and why so many billionaires want to go to space.
So they can
I think
charge
we've
people.
talked about this before as well.
Yeah.
It's so you can charge oxygen, but also because they'd essentially build little kingdoms up there
Mhm.
where they make the laws essentially because the governments here have a treaty that governments can't own any land, in Mars, and so the people with money here will be able to like control things over there.
Mhm.
That's why people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos want to all started space programs
Mhm.
because they could have a tighter grip on their employees.
Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, that's what happens. That's what's gonna happen because at the end of the day, you gotta eat the rich. Here we are. You gotta eat the rich. But seriously, it's like
Always.
That's
Every episode of the podcast always turns into eat the rich.
that's what's
Well,
gonna
it's because
happen.
most of our problems stem from fucking companies trying to take advantage of people. To be honest,
I mean, yeah,
like,
as long as they're able to, they're gonna fucking do it. So
yeah. Uh, is my camera moving?
maybe if you're like moving your knee up and down, yeah,
Uh,
that's probably why. And so it turns out that there was the last time the federal government killed someone was in 2020. Brandon Bernard via lethal injection. His last meal was a meat lover's pizza and a brownie. So he was a man convicted for the 1999 robbery, kidnapping, and murder of Todd and Stacy Bagley, and he was sentenced to death. Remained on death row until his execution in December 2020. Holy shit! So. Oh, okay. In his early teens, he began committing crimes such as burglary and joined a neighborhood gang. His crimes and rebellious behaviors led him to being kicked out of several schools. So he was in the juvie system, and then he robbed, kidnapped, and murdered 2 youth pastors. Holy shit.
oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
But yeah, the school to prison pipeline.
I mean,
That's a whole other episode.
dude, that's not even a school to prison pipeline. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what would have happened in his, younger years to get him into committing crimes and stuff like that, but let me see. It says, oh, okay. Bernard's intoxicated father sprayed his mother in the face with mace, and so his abusive dad, probably. That's what I'm thinking. Damn. Yeah, so most likely. So, and then they divorced in 1993, and then 1994 is when like the bad stuff started happening. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it makes sense, but damn, he was sentenced to death. Let me see. Da-da-da. Yeah, I mean, he died. That's it. He was executed by a lethal injection at the U.S. Penitentiary in Indiana. Damn, his last words saying he was sorry to the couple he murdered, citing those are the only words that I can say to completely capture how I feel now and how I felt that day. God damn. And actually, um, they so he didn't even shoot them. He was an accomplice, right? His accomplice
Yeah.
shot them both in the head before Bernard set the car on fire. I mean, of course, robbery and kidnap and the string of like stuff. It's like
Yeah, all those great
he was
crimes.
19 though. That's the thing. He was 19 when he did that, and I definitely if
Oh wait,
Mhm.
I think I saw a video the video about a prison abolition that part of when I was like looking into all this stuff that I
Mhm.
saw. Like, funny enough, when I was looking into this stuff, how do you call it? Philosophy Tube released a video on it.
Yeah, because I
And
mean this was really recent, so it makes sense that
yeah,
people would have like protested or whatever, you know.
yeah. Cuz like I she brought it up in the context of like, well, how does one become a criminal in the first place? Like, or how does one define murder for like legal purposes?
Hmm.
Because did that person actually kill them?
This guy, no. I mean, the
Yeah,
the other guy shot both of them in the face. I mean, he was complicit in the kidnapping
yeah,
and assaulting them, and then the other guy shot them in the head, and then he set the car on fire.
yeah.
So
He was accused of murder without actually having killed anyone, or like he was convicted of murder without actually having killed anyone.
he
I
attempted
think
to.
the case rested on if I remember correctly, I think the case itself rested on what he meant by let him have it. Oh wait,
I
no,
don't know.
I think
Different
the
one.
video was like a different case. I'm getting shit confused.
So yeah, it was a 26-year-old and 28-year-old that he had killed, and or well, that they say the victims basically, because
Yeah.
yeah, he was still complicit in it, and it was crazy because in 1998 he attempted to join the U.S. Army, but he was rejected because of his juvenile offenses. So imagine if he had gotten to the army, like maybe they would have kicked him into shape, and maybe he knew that he was trying to like change because it says
Yeah.
he got his GED in
Or it could have just
1997
made him more violent from all the combat and
from PTSD,
PTSD.
maybe. Yeah, that's true because 1999, 2001, and then the Iraq War. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and he was. I mean, yeah, if he was 18, if he was 18 in 1998, that makes sense. He was 18 and he tried to join the army. Well, if he was 18 and trying to join the army right away, he's still young there, which is, I mean, let's say, yeah, it can go one of both ways. He either gets kicked into shape or he just becomes even more violent. But he didn't. He wouldn't have had the chance to stay in the gang and stuff like that if he had been out somewhere else, you know. But
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we're never gonna know.
The infinite possibilities of if.
Yeah, that's crazy. So it's funny. It says shortly after following Bernard's death, both Senator Bernie Sanders and Kim Kardashian criticized the government's decision to execute Bernard.
Yeah.
Lethal injection. Oh, there was a guy in Texas. They used to have the last meal. You could ask for whatever you want, but they took it away because one guy ordered a bunch of food and then he was like, "I'm not hungry." What a dick! He ruined it for everyone else in Texas.
Yeah, fucking dick. I mean, that's kind of a ballsy move. Like the last thing you ever do is a fuck you to the government, but
Yeah, and he was I think he was a murderer too. Let me see. Uh,
asshole. What a complete asshole. Ballsy, but an asshole.
what? Let me see. Brewer. Where was this? In 2000 something. I don't know. It was in. Oh, it doesn't say. Where? I hate. Why doesn't it say? Let me see. Give me the goddamn dates, Google. There it is.
No, I just saw. What if Scott Fitzgerald came back up to Earth and said it's pronounced Jatsby, and left?
That's hilarious. Stupid. So
Jatsby.
so they. Oh, okay. It was a white supremacist. So three whites.
Fucking cunt. So a
Yeah.
definite fucking cunt. Piece
Three
of shit.
three white supremacists murdered a black guy. Oh my god, they did a lot of stuff to him. Jesus. Oh, that's so sad. He was unconscious and they dragged him along. And it says the guy who remained unconscious for much of his ordeal was killed about halfway through the dragging when his body hit the edge of a. It hit the edge of like. It's called a culvert. It's a structure that allows water to flow underneath a road. Blah blah blah. So it's like he hit like let's say like a sewer thing, and it severed his right arm and head. So the murderers drove on for another 1.5 miles before dumping his torso in front of a black church. Jesus. Yeah, I mean, that guy definitely deserved to die. So let me see. What year was it? 2011? He was executed in Huntsville. Yeah, okay. September 21st, 2011. He expressed no remorse for his crime. He says, I have no regrets. I'd do it all over again, tell you the truth. This guy was a real piece of shit. So
Yeah,
before
fucking garbage human being.
before his execution, Brewer ordered the last meal that prompted the end of last meal requests in Texas. The meal included 2 chicken fried steaks with gravy and sliced onions, a triple patty bacon cheeseburger, a cheese omelet with ground beef, tomatoes, onions, bell peppers, and jalapenos, a bowl of fried okra with ketchup, 1 pound of barbecued meat with half a loaf of white bread, 3 fully loaded fajitas, a meat lover's pizza, 1 pint of Bluebell vanilla ice cream, a slab of peanut butter fudge with crushed peanuts on top, and 3 root beers. When the meal was presented, he told officials he was not hungry and as a result did not eat any of it. The meal was discarded, prompting State Senator John Whitmer to ask Texas prison officials to end the 87-year-old tradition of giving last meals to condemned inmates. And yeah, the practice was terminated, effective immediately. So it wasn't even like it wasn't even like an actual rule. It was just a courtesy. Can you believe that? What a piece of shit. And he ruined it for
It
everyone
was
else.
a courtesy, and they got him all of that shit, and he ruined it for everyone else. Okay,
I mean, at least in Texas. At least in Texas. 'Cause
in Texas, yes, but still, like, I don't know, that the fact that it was like the prison was it wasn't any rule or anything. There was nothing that they had to do that. They just gave. Okay, I'm done. I'm done with him. Should have been done with him
oh,
first moment.
there was another guy that apparently got murdered without, and he was most likely innocent. It was, yeah. So this guy surrendered to police inside a crack house when another man came downstairs and opened fire, killing 3 officers. Woods ran from the scene after the gunfire erupted. This guy ran. He was 43. He was like, holy shit. The guy who was shooting, or wait. Spencer. So, okay, there's 2 guys, Spencer and Woods. Spencer is the one who shot everyone, and Spencer stated that Woods was not involved and said Nate is absolutely innocent. That man didn't know I was going to shoot anybody, just like I didn't know I was going to shoot anybody that day, period. Holy shit. At Woods' trial, prosecutors successfully excluded every qualified black prospective juror except for 2 in a city that is majority black. That's fucked up. Holy shit. The guy who actually killed the people was sentenced to death and remains on death row, awaiting execution. But that's so sad. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Even
and that's
the
kind of why.
The sister of one of the murdered officers said, he didn't kill my brother. He didn't kill any other officers. May they rest in peace. I'm asking for mercy. I believe my brother would want to take the stance because of the man he was. And everyone was calling it a modern day lynching. Oh, the state of Alabama. The state of Alabama.
Of course, it's Alabama.
Of
It's
course
always
it's
Alabama.
Fuck Alabama. All my homies hate Alabama.
Oh, my homies hate Alabama. Fuck
If you
Alabama.
ever never go to Alabama because it's the most fucking backwards place. And,
It's also so hot that it like cooks your like meat on the sidewalk. So
Steve Marshall, the Attorney General of Alabama, said Woods was not innocent and his punishment was just. The only injustice in this case of Nathaniel Woods is that which was inflicted on those 4 policemen on that terrible day.
what a fucking cunt.
Steve Marshall, you're a
What a
huge
piece of
piece
shit.
of shit. Oh my god.
My fucking god, dude.
He was a Democrat before 2011 and then he changed to Republican in 2011. His spouse died in 2018. Good. I'm glad. Shouldn't
Yeah.
have to be around you, you piece of shit.
She died trying to escape you, you fucking garbage
Literally.
human being.
He's such a garbage human being. His wife died just to get out of there. My God.
Mm.
What a fucking moron. He threatened to prosecute the city of Mobile, Alabama, and levy a $25,000 fine for removing a Confederate memorial.
What a fucking I bet you.
In
I
June
bet
of
you
2020. He's a huge fucking moron.
in my opinion, complete utter ridiculous speculation. I bet he's also a member of the
Anti-masker.
White Hoods.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I have no doubt that this guy has a KKK.
100% allegedly.
Holy shit.
100% of the time.
After the
50%.
Birmingham mayor draped a Confederate memorial with plastic and surrounded it with plywood, saying this country should in no way tolerate the hatred that the KKK, neo-Nazis, fascists, and other hate groups spew, this guy, Marshall, sued the mayor and the city for violating the Alabama Memorial Preservation Act. What
Fucking
a fucking
cunt.
God damn.
Dude, why? Okay. You know, we should just take it into our own hands. People should definitely not go use crowbars and a truck with some chains.
Yeah, if you're
tie
ever
it
in
around the
Alabama
statue.
and you guys see statues, definitely don't take them down. Definitely
don't throw them in a river and have
Exactly.
Google Maps update its location to that river.
almost immediately.
Yes,
Definitely don't.
definitely
What a
don't.
fucking moron.
Definitely.
He led an organization that organized pro-Trump protests on January 6th, which is probably the insurrection, which
Yeah,
sought
the
to
insurrection.
overturn the 2020 election. Holy shit.
Dude, there were so many like
Wait. He
Trumpers.
leads the Rule of Law Defense Fund, a non-profit under the Republican Attorney General Association, which organized the pro-Trump protests on January 6th.
The
Oh,
insurrection.
okay. It says these protests preceded the pro-Trump rioters storming the U.S. Capitol.
Ah, supposedly.
According to him.
Supposedly.
God, that's so sad. He was just there by association. How was he even?
How was he even convicted? Well, I know how because of racism and
Yeah,
all this.
because
Other
the fucking
stuff.
white people, they got everyone
Yeah.
out. Except for two people. The prosecutors are pieces of shit too. My God. If you're in Alabama and you think that that's right, then you're a piece of shit. If you think that's right at all, you're a piece of shit. Oh my God.
To be honest, you don't have to be from Alabama to think that's right. But if you do think that's right, you have to be an asshole. It's like 1 + 1 = 2. Can't deny the fact.
That's a depressing ending to the podcast. But last
Time to go to jail.
So basically, if you're gonna go to your high school reunion, if you're gonna choose
Oh,
to go to a
right,
middle,
that's what we were
if
talking
you're
about, my
gonna
high
choose
school
to go
reunion.
to your middle school reunion,
My middle
I don't
school
know.
reunion.
it's gonna be worth it. I don't know.
I don't know. The person that paid for the place paid like $990 for like the venue, and then I pitched in like 100, and then someone else pitched in like 75, and that's all I know from people that pitched in.
Well, eat the rich.
Eat the rich.
We're broke till Friday. Goodbye, my friends. We'll see you next week. Now I'ma go and beat my meat. And we're broke till Friday. Bye, my friends. We'll see you next week. And now I'ma go and beat my meat. And we're broke till Friday.